The following episode of The Kingdom of Isolation contains footage from the film being discussed. The footage is used solely for the purposes of education, commentary, and criticism under fair use. Please support the animators by watching this film on Disney Plus or home media where available. This episode also contains spoilers throughout.
Hello, fellow Disney fans, and welcome to the Kingdom of Isolation, where in times of trouble, why not celebrate the magic of Disney? And today, we're delighted to invite you into a world where honeypots are treasures, friendships are golden, and every adventure, no matter how daunting, begins with a single brave step. Winnie the Pooh's Most Grand Adventure, also known as Pooh's Grand Adventure: The Search for Christopher Robin over in the States, released direct-to-video in 1997. Now, you might be wondering, what makes this adventure so grand? And why, after all these years, does the story of a humble bear searching for his friend continue to tug at our heartstrings? Well, settle in, grab a cup of tea, or perhaps a smackerel of honey, and let's set off together down the winding paths of the 100-Acre Wood. Before we leap into the adventure itself, first, let's take a moment to appreciate the enduring charm of Winnie the Pooh. Created by A.A. Milne nearly a century ago, Pooh Bear has become a symbol of innocence, friendship, and gentle wisdom across generations and continents. There's something timeless about this silly old bear, his simplicity, his humility, and his never-ending loyalty to those he loves. But Winnie the Pooh's Most Grand Adventure, again, also known as Pooh's Most Grand Adventure, The Search for Christopher Robin, is a story that stands apart. This marked Pooh's first feature-length outing in 20 years. And I'm including the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh in this as well, because that was Disney's 22nd feature-length animated film when it came out in 1977. But that was just a combination of the three shorts that made the film: Honey Tree, Blustery Day, and Tigger 2. This one, completely original, still based on A.A. Milne's works though. This takes audiences on a journey both literal and metaphorical, exploring themes of courage, uncertainty, and sometimes the sometimes scary process of growing up. Imagine for a moment the gentle sunlight filtering through the trees, the scent of wildflowers, and the distant, cheerful chatter of friends gathered in a beloved corner of the forest. 100-Acre Wood is more than just a setting. It's a character in its own right, alive with warmth and whimsy. Here, Pooh and his friends, Piglet, Tigger, Rabbit, Eeyore, and Owl, find a world both safe and endlessly explorable. But as with any adventure worth taking, there comes a moment when the familiar is disrupted. In Pooh's Most Grand Adventure, that moment arrives with the mysterious disappearance of Christopher Robin, the boy who embodies love, guidance, and the promise that everything will somehow be all right in the end. At its core, this is a story about friendship, about the bonds that tie us together, and the courage we muster when those bonds are tested. When Christopher Robin goes missing, Pooh and his friends are thrust into the great unknown. And suddenly, the comforting boundaries of the world seem vast and intimidating. The Great Unknown, as it's called in the film, becomes both a literal place and a metaphor for the uncertainty we all face when life changes unexpectedly. Each character brings their unique strengths and vulnerabilities to the journey. Pooh with his gentle optimism, Piglet, ever so timid but filled with hidden reserves of bravery, Tigger, whose boundless energy masks a fear of letting down his friends, Rabbit, the planner who must learn to let go, Eeyore, whose quiet loyalty speaks volumes. Together, they remind us that fear is natural, but together, we can face even the most daunting challenges. What makes Winnie the Pooh's Most Grand Adventure resonate so deeply is its willingness to acknowledge that growing up and letting go isn't always easy. The film doesn't shy away from the anxiety of separation or the uncertainty of the future. Instead, it wraps these truths in gentle wisdom and humor, offering reassurance to children and adults alike. Christopher Robin's message to Pooh is one for the ages.
You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
Now, these words are more than comfort. They are a call to courage, a reminder that self-doubt is a universal companion and that true strength comes from within. As we embark on this journey, we'll explore the twists and turns of the adventure itself, the search for Christopher Robin, the perils of the Skullosaurus, and the moments of doubt and triumph that pepper the journey throughout. We'll talk about how each obstacle mirrors the characters' internal struggles and how, in overcoming them, they discover that the greatest adventure is not the journey through the forest, but the journey of self-discovery. We'll also discuss the film's beautiful music, its lush animation, and the tender voice performances that bring these beloved characters to life. From Forever and Ever to Wherever You Are, the soundtrack underscores the emotional heart of the story, reminding us that even when we feel lost, we are never truly alone. More than 2 decades after its release, the film remains a touchstone for fans of all ages. It's a story that parents share with their children, that friends revisit in moments of doubt, and that anyone who's ever felt a little lost can find solace in. Its themes of friendship, courage, and hope are as vital today as when Milne first sent Pooh bumbling through the wood all those years ago. So, whether you're watching as a lifelong fan or as someone new to the Pooh world, I invite you to join us on this journey. So let's rediscover the wisdom hidden in simple words, the magic in everyday kindness, and the adventure that awaits whenever we take that first uncertain step beyond the familiar. But most importantly, we'll remember this. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is keep going, even when you're not sure of the way. And as Christopher Robin says,
But the most important thing is, even if we are apart, I'll always be with you.
so fluff up your favorite armchair, gather your dearest friends, real or stuffed, and let's begin our own grand adventure together. What do you say?
Once, upon the last day of a golden summer, there was a boy and a bear.
Now, it's quite fitting that I'm doing this now, as at time of recording, Scotland will be preparing for heading back to school, with the rest of the UK not too far behind. The narration here is provided by the late David Warner, who passed away back in 2022. He was in Titanic, Tron, Star Trek, Mary Poppins Returns, podcasts for Doctor Who and Torchwood, the original Omen back in 1976, Scream 2. He even won an Emmy for his role in Masada. The music here is provided once again by Carl Johnson, his second film in a row, would you believe? And it's just so whimsical, heartwarming, and provides a sense of adventure that awaits us.
Any reason that I think of is a good one for being Pooh. Dum, 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 dum.
And we've got good old Jim Cummings back as the delightful voice of our favourite silly old bear, taking over from Sterling Holloway, who passed away in 1992, the year after the final season of The New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh had aired. This is not a sequel to the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh film, nor is it the finale to the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh series. This has proven to be a standalone Winnie the Pooh film since one last television special was released in 1999, while also featuring a handful of previous media after the Many Adventures film released. The plot of the movie is loosely based on two A.A. stories from The House at Pooh Corner. One in which Rabbit had a very busy morning, and the characters learn what Christopher Robin does in the mornings when he's not in the 100-acre wood. The other is when Winnie the Pooh and Christopher Robin go off to an enchanted place, and we leave them there. It was originally planned for a theatrical release in November 1996, but was moved to a direct-to-video release in August of 1997 to avoid competition with Space Jam. This is the final Winnie the Pooh project to use traditional cell animation. The next film, the Tigger movie, which would come out in the year 2000, used digital ink and paint, which was all thanks to the CAPS system, which I've talked about previously on the show. This is also the first Winnie the Pooh film to have a narrator telling the story without including a book, making the characters be unaware of him. This is also the first full-length Winnie the Pooh movie without Kanga or Roo, because as is established in this film and in future films, we find out that this film takes place before all the others, making this technically, taking the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh out of the equation for a moment, this being the first film in this chronological timeline of the direct-to-video films that Disney released regarding Winnie the Pooh. Because of this, with Kanga being the only major female character throughout the series, it's also the first Winnie the Pooh movie to entirely consist of male characters. Now, we're now given the reason why Pooh loves being with Pooh. Pooh just loves being Pooh.
Being with my very best friend, Christopher Robin.
Who is voiced this time by Brady Blum, who would reprise the role in Seasons of Giving. This is the third Winnie the Pooh production where Christopher Robin is voiced by an American actor. His singing voice was also provided by an American child singer, Frankie J. Galasso. During an event where Winnie the Pooh received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the cover of this film was shown on a sign at the area sometime in 2005. Christopher Robin has something to tell Pooh which isn't very nice. Therefore, Pooh decides it can wait for the first of 5 songs written for the film, Forever and Ever. Not only is the score beautiful, but the song composition is beautiful as well. Michael Abbott and Sarah Weeks wrote the songs for the film, and they did a great job throughout. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't getting emotional during this film. But I think it's down to being very sentimental about how much this film meant to me growing up. We get a call back to the first film with Christopher Robin's Nothing speech. Pooh wants to do nothing forever, which then leads to the best scene in not just the film, but for me, one of the best scenes in the whole franchise. The music here is just so beautiful throughout. I'm getting choked up just thinking about it.
You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think. I'll always be with you.
Another thing I love about this scene is the way the background fades from the warm hues of reds and oranges to the shades of blue as night approaches. I really want to know how animators did this. As the new day dawns, the piano complements the leaves starting to fall, signaling the first day of autumn. Pooh wakes up and is very excited about the prospect of hot chocolate mornings, toasty marshmallow evenings, and leaping into leaves, landing on a jar of honey that has a note on it in the process. He goes to find Christopher Robin at the tree, but is nowhere to be seen. So off to Piglet's goes Pooh, voiced again by the late John Fiedler. Pooh finds Piglet at the top of his own tree, trying to conquer his fear of heights.
That is, if it doesn't conquer me first. Christopher Robin!
Yeah, one, that's a long way down, and two, here comes the start of the journey Piglet will be on to show that he can be brave.
Hiya, Pooh! What's up?
Not much, Tigger. Just really happy to see you again. He's voiced by the late Paul Winchell in one of his final roles as the character before retiring. While Paul Winchell returned to voice Tigger for the film, he felt his voice was no longer suited for singing and insisted against doing so, leaving his understudy Jim Cummings to provide the singing voice instead. He would also do so for a Winnie the Pooh Thanksgiving and Winnie the Pooh A Valentine for You, before fully assuming the role in 1999 after Winchell's retirement.
But every now and then, Jim Cummings would do an episode whenever Paul Winchell was unavailable for whatever reason. But when Paul Winchell officially retired, he went up to Jim Cummings and said, "All right, you're Tigger now, so take care of my little buddy."
Oh, bless him. Tigger's journey begins as he struggles to reach Piglet, the music building as he tries to reach, all while the acorns fall from the tree. It's a lot of acorns if you ask me. One final bounce, Piglet's branch snaps, Tigger goes down with him, causing a cascade of acorns to flow through the 100-acre wood. And we then meet Rabbit, voiced this time by the late Ken Sansom, a fellow Latter-day Saint like myself. He'd reprised the role until 2010, when Tom Kenny took over. Piglet's singing voice, by the way, is Stephen Schatzberg. One stubborn carrot is not leaving the ground for Rabbit before the acorn flood sweeps him up, leading to Eeyore and his house being swept up too. Eeyore is voiced by Optimus Prime himself, Peter Cullen, who was under the mask of Optimus Prime for a Transformers-themed night of the Masked Singer stateside.
Easy come, easy go.
Now, Rabbit tries reading the honey-drenched note before taking it out. Rabbit's journey begins here, even if he remains stubborn throughout. The late Andrei Stojka voices Al, taking over from Hal Smith, who passed away 3 years prior to this film's release in 1994. The note is partially read, leading to Christopher Robin being at school.
He has gone to S-C-H-O-O-L. Skull. Skull.
Forgive him, he's dyslexic. We then get our next song of the film. Adventure is a wonderful thing. The map also has heffalumps, woozles, jaguars, and of course, the Skullosaurus.
Without a monster or two, it's hardly a quest.
Yeah, indeed. The music is very rousing throughout the song. The military drums, brass, and strings. The song is a personification. Is the personification of adventure in this film. Some parents and fans consider this movie to be the darkest Winnie the Pooh movie that Disney produced, as we will see later.
What was that?
Oh, we'll get to it right now. Panic ensues before Rabbit appoints himself as the map reader. And, across the meadow we go.
And a lovely meadow it is.
Okay, and there's your dark imagery starting to come into effect. Though Jim Cummings did not fully voice Tigger alongside Pooh Bear in this movie, he did still provide the growling sounds of what everyone thought was the Skullosaurus. That is actually Pooh's tummy growling louder than usual. But they don't find this out until later. Critics also noted that although suitable for all viewers, some of the scenes and dark imagery were frightening for preschoolers. Even though I was 4 when this came out, I had no issues with this. I knew even back then from the trailer for the film that this was going to be more intense than the Winnie the Pooh media I had seen previously up to that point. Everything seems to be okay until the unsettling music kicks in and starts building. The Skullsaurus is heard, causing Piglet to leg it out of there as quickly as possible, reaching the nice peaceful spot. Now this is more like it. Bright, vibrant colours, butterflies, and very cheery music. Nice little break from the intensity we just experienced. Piglet's flying before he starts getting scared after going too high, thanks to the butterflies lifting him up off the ground. Pooh tries to give him words of encouragement, trying to remember what Christopher Robin said to him, without much success, and it becomes a wholesome running gag throughout the film.
Bigger than a big leaf. Bolder when you're not green.
Tigger saves Pooh's honey as he and Piglet head towards the ground, and the friends head off to the next stage of their search for Christopher Robin.
Roll credits.
That only applies stateside, as that was the US title CinemaSins. This is where the visual presentation starts to change from the bright and cheerful, peaceful spot we were just at to what we're going to see throughout the second half of the film. The darker and more unsettling, but not all at once. It's a gradual build, which you need to do for a family film, especially one that's animated. Rabbit basically shuts down Pooh when Pooh manages to find the Forbidden Mountains in song form, if it says so.
The way to there is over here.
Rabbit, please get off your high horse for once, please. It's moments like this that are why Rabbit is my least favorite character in the franchise. The song ends with the map being ripped in two. Tigger goes to get it, but ends up breaking a log bridge, Wile E. Coyote style. Meep meep!
Christopher Robin!
Tigger admits he isn't strong enough to bounce out to the situation he's in. This leads to Pooh having a second attempt to try and remember what Christopher Robin said to him earlier.
Taller than a beam, slower than whipped cream.
Pooh tries to reach down to Tigger, only for the cliff Pooh's on to give way, leading to Piglet catching him, leading to a domino effect. Piglet's root snaps, causing Rabbit to catch them both, dragging Eeyore with him. This all culminates in them reaching Tigger, the log falls, and Tigger's holding on to Pooh, and Eeyore's starting to experience a bit of discomfort.
I said ouch.
Just one small issue though. How did Eeyore hear him from all the way up there without Tigger having to shout? Thankfully they're all okay and retrieve the missing map piece, but now have to escape the Skullsaurus. They all get lost in the fog, leading to Rabbit getting dismayed that he's not smart enough to know where to go or what to do. Pooh's final words of wisdom for him are, they're actually quite adorable.
You're smarter when you're pink.
It doesn't help, but at least they find a cave to rest in until the fog clears. Later on, Pooh's outside the cave, wondering if he'll ever see Christopher Robin again. This then leads to one of the most beautiful songs in all of animation, and also one of the most heartbreaking, Wherever You Are.
I used to believe in forever, but forever's too good to be true.
Honestly, this hurts so much to listen to, especially when you're older. The music throughout all of this is just beautiful and heartbreaking. From finding the cave to the song and the outro to the scene where Rabbit, who's using the map as a blanket, gives it to Pooh to keep him warm. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, this is one of the most beautiful and heartbreaking moments that I've ever experienced. Piglet wakes up later and finds they're all at Skull. Okay, now did they have to make it any more dramatic with an organ thrown into the mix? They enter Skull, where they all head down separate paths before being reunited near the Eye of the Skull. Pooh ends up being mistaken for the Skylosaurus before being separated altogether from the group. This is the only film where we hear Eeyore yelling in any capacity. This is the only film he ever does it in. Doesn't do it in the Tigger movie, doesn't do it in Piglet's Big movie, doesn't do it in Pooh's Heffalump movie, doesn't do it anywhere else. This is the only film he does it in. The music throughout this whole sequence is really intense, adding to the thrill of the chase when they think the Skylosaurus is after them, especially when you get the visual of Pooh being morphed by the crystals into said Skylosaurus.
It's the terriblest Skylosaurus I've ever seen! Not to mention the only one.
Yeah, I'd be running from that as well. Tigger thinks the Skylosaurus got Pooh. The group then have to put together a plan which helps Rabbit become smarter, Tigger becomes stronger, and Piglet become braver. All for Pooh, who becomes unstuck, only to end up even deeper underground, accepting that he'll never see Christopher Robin again. He does finally remember the words of wisdom from earlier, and actually hears Christopher Robin respond to him. The group find Christopher Robin only to tell him that the Skylosaurus ate Pooh. Christopher Robin then makes them aware that what they thought was the Skylosaurus was actually Pooh's poor old rumbly tumbly.
Didn't have to come clear out here to find it. Had it inside all along.
Well, you're right about that. Skull Cave, which the characters enter to rescue Christopher Robin, was partially inspired by the mines of Moria, a dark location entered by protagonists in The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Christopher Robin lowers a giant honeypot down to Pooh, lifting him back up, and the reunion between them is just so heartwarming. There's also this regarding the note.
Don't worry about me. I'm not going far away. Just to school. Be back this afternoon. Help yourself to this honey.
We get to the final song of the film. Everything is right. Triumphant is an understatement as we approach the finale of the film. We're now left with just Pooh and Christopher Robin, who tells Pooh what he did at school. Pooh promises to stay by Christopher Robin's side until he's 99, where by that time, Christopher Robin will be 100. What I love as well during the opening of everything is when the harsh imagery that we saw earlier transforms into what it actually is in the 100-Acre Wood. The final words provided to us by the narrator himself. And so it is here we shall leave them, and it's here we shall find them again. For the boy and the bear will always be waiting in this remarkable place called the 100-Acre Wood. We get the end title version of Wherever You Are over the end credits, where it is performed by Barry Coffin and Vonda Shepherd. This, personally, is one of my favourite trips into the 100-Acre Wood, alongside another entry in the franchise we'll get into very soon. For now, let's get to the scores. The story, it's going to get a 9 out of 10 here. The narrative's emotional resonance and imaginative pacing earn it that 9 out of 10, balancing adventure and heartfelt moments to create a memorable experience in the 100-Acre Wood. It's a tale that captures both the peril and the tenderness of friendship, and stands as a testament to the enduring charm of these beloved characters. Speaking of which, this also gets a 9 out of 10. The cast shines in every scene, each character's unique quirks and growth beautifully interwoven into the story's tapestry. Eeyore's dry wit, Tigger's boundless energy, Piglet's gentle courage, and Rabbit's cleverness all contribute to a dynamic ensemble that feels authentic and heartfelt. The emotional range of the group, from their moments of fear to their triumphs of friendship, is portrayed with sincerity and warmth, making it easy to connect with and root for each one. The result is a richly drawn portrait of camaraderie that elevates the film and leaves a lasting impression. A well-deserving Well, thoroughly well deserving of a 9 out of 10. The visuals receive a solid 8 out of 10. A testament to the film's charming animation and evocative design. The 100-Acre Wood is brought to life with a palette both vibrant and comforting, making each scene a feast for the eyes without overwhelming the story's gentler tones. There's a whimsical nostalgia woven through the backgrounds and character designs, capturing the spirit of classic storybook illustrations, while offering enough detail to make the world feel tangible and lived in. Subtle visual cues, like the shifting shadows in the eye of the skull, or the golden glow of Pooh's honey pot, enhance the emotional impact of key moments, underscoring both peril and joy. While not pushing the boundaries of animation, the artistry here is lovingly crafted, serving the narrative's heart and humor with grace. It's a visual experience that, though familiar, remains enchanting and immersive, justifying its strong score. The soundtrack. Oh, the soundtrack. This is I've got to give it an 11. I know, right? Second time in 3 episodes that I've given the soundtrack an 11. Every note seems woven from the very fabric of the 100-Acre Wood, echoing the innocence and nostalgia that defines these stories. Whether it's the gentle lift of Wherever You Are, or the jubilant crescendo of Everything Is Right. Each song infuses the narrative with a warmth that lingers long after the credits roll. The melodies become companions to the characters, amplifying their joys and heartaches and transforming the film into something truly magical. And that's really what you want from a Disney film. You want these experiences to be magical and unforgettable. It's not just background music, it's the emotional heartbeat of the adventure, elevating the experience to a place where numbers simply fall away. And now, the legacy, only 38% on Rotten Tomatoes. The criticisms have already been outlined briefly in this episode, but I think the criticism is too harsh in my opinion. Elements of this film were used with Winnie the Pooh and Kingdom Hearts 2. Now, how does this film compare to the first outing from Pooh? Well, critics were right about this being the darkest film in the franchise, but this works in the film's favor. You can't have a grand adventure without some dark or intense moments throughout. Otherwise, it just becomes another happy-go-lucky Pooh adventure, akin to that of the TV series. While the film's legacy may not soar quite as high as its other aspects, a 7 out of 10 is still a fitting tribute to its enduring presence. The tale carves out a cherished place in the hearts of longtime fans and newcomers alike, ensuring its relevance across generations. Perhaps it doesn't reach the iconic status of some of its predecessors, yet its gentle wisdom and sincere storytelling leave a lasting glow. The film's influence is felt most in its subtle lessons of friendship and growing up, values that remain as resonant today as ever. In this way, its legacy endures, quietly, steadfastly, like Pooh's promise to Christopher Robin, waiting patiently for all who wish to return to the 100-Acre Wood. Now, the film gets a final score of 88%, and this reflects the film's delicate balance of heart, artistry, and nostalgia. It's a journey that may not claim universal acclaim, yet it lingers in the memory, sweet as honey and just as golden. For fans old and new, this adventure reaffirms why the 100-Acre Wood remains a timeless refuge, inviting us to believe, to hope, and to cherish the simple magic of friendship. Can I recommend this? Absolutely, especially if you're a longtime fan of our favorite silly old bear, like myself. This film now lies second on the scoreboard behind a Goofy movie for the time being. And that is it for this episode of The Kingdom of Isolation, looking at Winnie the Pooh's Most Grand Adventure, or Pooh's Grand Adventure, The Search for Christopher Robin. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up. And if you want to be part of the Kingdom of Isolation yourself, you can hit the subscribe button down at the bottom. Click the bell, turn on notifications so you don't miss when an episode goes live. I've also got a passes page where you'll get to see uncut episodes of the Kingdom of Isolation as well. So be sure to head over there and see what's happening over there. The next episode is going to cover a sequel that wasn't really warranted. Did we really want a sequel to this?
Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World.
But until then, make each moment count, and I'll see you guys next time in the Kingdom of Isolation.